3 months had passed since Maya first detected the alien ship. Agent Lucas Bennett still watched Katie Morgan every day, but now he was not alone. Teams of agents around the world were reporting the same strange phenomenon. Teenagers everywhere were showing the same unusual abilities that Katie had docked in Tokyo. 17-year-old Akira sat in his computer programming class. When he touched his laptop, the screen showed code that he had never written before. The teacher thought Akira was cheating, but security cameras proved he had not typed anything. Somehow, Akira's mind was talking directly to the computer. Agent Kenji Tanaka from the Japanese Cabinet Intelligence Office called Director Helen Carter in Washington. "We have a problem," he said. "Our boy can access any computer system just by touching it. Yesterday, he accidentally got into the Tokyo subway control system during lunch break. Across the ocean in London, 15-year-old Emma was having different problems. She could feel electricity moving through the walls of her house. At night, she lay in bed and sensed every wire, every circuit, every electronic device in the building. The strange awareness made it hard for her to sleep. Agent Sophie Clark from I-6 had been watching Emma for 2 weeks. She reported to her supervisor that Emma seemed to know when people were using phones or computers in nearby buildings. Emma would look at walls and point to exactly where televisions and microwaves were located on the other side. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, 16-year-old Carlos was having the worst time of all. When he had nightmares, the power went out in his entire neighborhood. His parents thought it was just bad luck with the city's electrical grid. They did not know that Carlos was unconsciously creating electromagnetic pulses strong enough to knock out transformers 3 blocks away. Agent Roberto Silva watched Carlos's house from across the street. Every time the boy had a bad dream, Silva's monitoring equipment went crazy. The readings were so strong that Silva had to move his surveillance van farther away to prevent his own electronics from being damaged. Director Carter sat in her office in Washington reading reports from around the world. The numbers were frightening. Intelligence agencies in 37 countries had identified nearly 10,000 teenagers with similar abilities. All of them were born between March and September of 2008. All of them seemed completely unaware of what they could do. She called an emergency meeting with the heads of allied intelligence services. They met in a secure conference room deep underground in Virginia. Representatives from MI6, the Japanese Cabinet Intelligence Office, Germany's BND, and 12 other agencies flew in within 24 hours. "We are dealing with a global phenomenon," Carter told the group. "These children represent something new in human evolution. The question is, what do we do about it?" Agent Pierre Dubois from French intelligence raised his hand. "Our scientists think this started during pregnancy. Something affected these children while they were still developing in the womb. Some kind of radiation or energy that we don't understand." Dr. Amanda Foster, a quantum physicist working with Project Threshold, stood up to address the group. She was a thin woman with wild gray hair who always looked like she had just discovered something amazing. "I believe these children are the next step in human development," she said. "My research suggests they were exposed to cosmic radiation during a specific time period in 2008. This radiation changed their brain chemistry in ways we are only beginning to understand." Agent Tanaka from Japan looked worried. "But can they control these abilities? Our boy in Tokyo is getting stronger every day. Yesterday, he accidentally broke into the Japanese banking system while doing homework." "That's exactly the problem," Dr. Foster replied. "These abilities seem to grow stronger as the children get older, and they appear to work better when they're thawing. Children are emotional or stressed." Lucas Bennett spoke up from his seat near the back. "Katie has no idea what she can do. Her abilities only show up when she's upset or angry. The rest of the time, She's completely normal. Director Carter nodded. That may be our biggest challenge. How do we train them to control abilities they don't know they have? The meeting was interrupted when Maya Rodriguez burst through the door. Her face was pale, and she carried a tablet, showing readings that made no sense. Directors, we have an immediate problem, she announced. The ship in orbit just sent the message. It's being broadcast on every frequency simultaneously. Carter grabbed the tablet and read the message aloud. People of Earth, we are the Zephyrian Collective. We have detected the emergence of enhanced individuals among your population. We have come to collect these individuals before their abilities become a threat to galactic stability. The room fell silent. Every person there understood what this meant. The aliens were not here to make friends. Maya continued reading. We have observed 17 other species develop similar enhancement abilities. None have successfully controlled their power without destroying themselves or threatening others. We will give your species 72 hours to surrender the enhanced individuals willingly. If you refuse, we will take them by force. Agent Clark from MI6 stood up. How many ships are there? Our deep space scanners show at least 50 vessels. Maya replied. They've positioned themselves around the planet. Each ship is large enough to carry thousands of beings. Dr. Foster looked at her research notes. They're right about one thing. These abilities are incredibly powerful. If our enhanced children learn to work together, they could potentially affect global communications, power grids, even nuclear systems. Director Carter felt the weight of the decision ahead. They had 72 hours to choose between protecting 10,000 teenagers and potentially facing a war with advanced aliens. The enhanced children had no idea they were the center of a galactic crisis. Lucas thought about Katie, sitting in calculus class right now, worried about her upcoming test. She was probably thinking about whether Jake from her English class would ask her to the spring dance. She had no idea that aliens wanted to take her away from Earth because of abilities she didn't even know she had. We need to tell them, Lucas said quietly. We need to tell all of them what's happening. They have a right to know. Carter looked around the room at faces filled with fear and uncertainty. If we tell them, everything changes. These children will never have normal lives again. If we don't tell them, Lucas replied, they might not have any lives at all. The Zephyrian message played again on every radio and television on Earth. Panic was beginning to spread as governments tried to figure out how to respond. Meanwhile, Katie Morgan sat in her bedroom doing homework, completely unaware that the fate of humanity might depend on what she and 9,000 other teenagers decided to do in the next 3 days. Katie Morgan walked down the school hallway, carrying her heavy backpack. She was just like any other 16-year-old girl in Denver. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore jeans and a blue sweater. She worried about the math test next period and hoped her friend Amy would sit with her at lunch. What Katie did not know was that Agent Lucas Bennett sat in a black car across the street from Jefferson High School. He had been watching her for 3 years now. Every morning, he parked in the same spot and watched her walk into school. Every afternoon, he followed her home from a safe distance. Lucas had a folder full of photos and reports about Katie, but he had never spoken to her. Lucas worked for a secret part of the FBI called Project Threshold. His boss was Director Helen Carter, a serious woman with gray hair who rarely smiled. The project was so secret that even most FBI agents did not know it existed. Only 12 people in the entire government knew what Project Threshold really did. In his earpiece, Lucas heard the voice of Agent Maya Rodriguez. She worked from a van parked 2 blocks away, surrounded by computers and strange machines that most people had never seen before. Her readings are spiking again, Maya said quietly. Whatever is happening to her is getting stronger. Lucas looked through his binoculars and saw Katie stop suddenly in the hallway. She put her hand to her head like she had a headache. Around her, 3 students' phones stopped working at the same time. The lights in that section of the hallway flickered twice and then went back to normal. "Did you get that on the sensors?" Lucas asked. "Every bit of it," Maya replied. "The electromagnetic pulse lasted 2.3 seconds this time. That's longer than last month." Katie shook her head and kept walking. She had no idea that her phone and 2 others had completely lost their battery charge in those few seconds. She did not know that the school's security cameras had glitched for exactly the same amount of time. Most importantly, she did not know that a very expensive machine in Maya's van had just recorded energy readings that should have been impossible. Lucas had been an FBI agent for 15 years. He had caught bank robbers and drug dealers. He had worked on cases involving national security. But Project Threshold was different from anything he had ever done. 3 years ago, Director Carter had called him into her office and changed his life forever. "Agent Bennett," she had said, "I need you to watch a 13-year-old girl in Denver. You will not make contact with her. You will not let her know you exist. You will simply observe and report everything unusual that happens around her." "What has she done?" Lucas had asked. "Nothing. That's what makes this so important." Director Carter had shown him photos of a government research lab in Nevada. The building looked normal from outside, but the inside was completely destroyed. Every piece of electronic equipment had been melted. The metal walls had strange burn marks that scientists could not explain. Security cameras had recorded only static for the 6 hours when the damage happened. A school field trip visited this lab the day before the incident, Carter had explained. 30 kids from Denver, including Katie Morgan. We checked every child, every adult, every piece of equipment they brought. We found nothing unusual except for one thing. She had shown Lucas a chart covered in numbers and lines that meant nothing to him. "Katie's electromagnetic signature is unlike anything we have ever seen. It's not dangerous, but it's not normal either. We need to know if it's growing stronger." Now, 3 years later, Lucas knew the answer. Katie's abilities were definitely growing stronger. Maya's machines recorded new energy spikes every week. Small electronics stopped working around Katie when she was upset or stressed. Light bulbs burned out in her bedroom more often than they should. Her family's internet connection failed whenever she had a bad day, but Katie seemed completely unaware of any of it. She worried about normal teenage things like homework and boys and whether her hair looked okay. She worked part-time at Page Turner Books, a small bookstore downtown. She was kind to the elderly customers and always helped them find what they needed. She had good grades except in calculus, which gave her headaches. Lucas often wondered what Director Carter was really afraid of. Katie seemed like the most harmless person in the world. She volunteered at an animal shelter on weekends. She helped her little brother with his homework. She had never been in trouble at school. "Bennett, we have a problem." Maya's voice crackled through his earpiece. "What kind of problem?" "My deep space scanners just picked up something. There's a ship in orbit around Earth. It's big, and it's not ours." Lucas felt his stomach drop. Project Threshold had always been about Katie, but Director Carter had hinted that there might be bigger concerns. She had talked about external threats and galactic awareness in ways that made Lucas think she knew more than she was telling him. "How big?" he asked. "About the size of 3 football stadiums." And Lucas, "It's scanning the surface. The energy patterns match exactly what we see around Katie." Lucas watched Katie enter her calculus classroom through his binoculars. She looked so normal, so innocent. He could not understand how a teenage girl who worried about math tests could be connected to alien spacecraft. "Are there others?" he asked Maya. "That's what I'm checking now." "Give me a few minutes." Lucas had spent 3 years watching Katie Morgan. He had seen her laugh with friends, cry over failed tests, and work patiently with difficult customers at the bookstore. He had watched her family celebrate birthdays and holidays. He knew her favorite coffee shop and the park where she liked to read. But now, for the first time, Lucas began to understand that Project Threshold was about much more than one teenage girl in Denver. Something was coming, and Katie was somehow connected to it. He just hoped that when the truth finally came out, he would be able to protect her from whatever was heading toward Earth. In the van 2 blocks away, Maya stared at her computer screen with growing concern. The ship in orbit was not alone. Her scanners were finding similar energy signatures all over the planet, and they were all connected to teenagers born in the same 6-month period as Katie Morgan. The Watchers had become the Watched, and none of them knew what that meant for the future of humanity. Agent Lucas Bennett stood outside Katie Morgan's house at 6 in the morning. His hand shook as he rang the doorbell. After 3 years of watching Katie from a distance, he was finally going to talk to her. Director Carter had given him permission to tell Katie everything, but Lucas felt sick about what this would do to her normal life. Katie's mother opened the door. She was a kind woman who worked as a nurse at the local hospital. She looked confused to see a man in a suit standing on her doorstep so early. "Mrs. Morgan, I'm Agent Bennett from the FBI. I need to speak with your daughter Katie about a matter of national security." Mrs. Morgan's face went white. "What has Katie done wrong?" "Nothing at all. She may be able to help us save a lot of people." 20 minutes later, Katie sat at her kitchen table staring at Lucas. Her parents sat beside her, holding her hands. Lucas had shown them his badge and credentials, but Katie still could not believe this was happening. "You've been watching me for 3 years?" Katie asked. Her voice was quiet and confused. "Yes, Katie, you have abilities that you don't know about. When you get upset or stressed, you create electromagnetic pulses. Electronics stop working around. We've been monitoring these incidents because we thought you might be important." Katie laughed, but it sounded forced. "That's crazy. I'm just a normal girl. I work at a bookstore and I'm failing calculus." Lucas pulled out a tablet and showed Katie a video. It was security footage from her school, showing the moment when lights flickered and phones stopped working around her. "This was last week when you found out about your math test," Lucas explained. 3 phones lost all their battery power in 2 seconds. The school's internet went down for 10 minutes. Katie stared at the video. She remembered that day. She had felt overwhelmed and scared about failing the test. She had gotten a sudden headache right before walking into class. "There are others like me?" she asked. "Almost 10,000 around the world. And Katie, aliens have come to Earth because of you and the others. They want to take all of you away." Katie's father stood up angrily. "This is insane. You're telling us our daughter is some kind of weapon and aliens want to kidnap her?" Before Lucas could answer, every electronic device in the house stopped working. The lights went out. The refrigerator stopped humming. Even Lucas's watch stopped ticking. Katie was staring at the tablet with tears in her eyes, and energy was pouring out of her without her control. "Katie," Lucas said gently, "you need to calm down. Take deep breaths." Katie closed her eyes and tried to relax. Slowly, the lights came back on. The refrigerator started humming again, but Lucas's tablet remained completely dead. "How long do we have?" Katie's mother asked quietly. 18 hours. The aliens gave us 72 hours to surrender all the enhanced individuals. That was 2.5 days ago. Around the world, similar conversations were happening. In Tokyo, Akira learned that his computer abilities had attracted attention from space. In London, Emma discovered that her electromagnetic sense was considered dangerous by an alien species. In Snow Paulo, Carlos found out that his nightmares had been causing power outages across the city, but not all governments were telling their enhanced teenagers the truth. Some countries decided to hide their young people instead of preparing them to fight. Others tried to send their enhanced individuals into space as requested by the aliens. President Nathan Clark sat in the Oval Office with his top advisors. He had been president for only 6 months, and now he faced the hardest decision any human leader had ever made. Mr. President, his Secretary of Defense said, our military experts say we cannot win a fight against their technology. They disabled our satellite network in under an hour yesterday. They created energy barriers around major cities just to show us what they can do. But if we give them our children, President Clark replied, what kind of people does that make? You? Director Carter entered the room carrying new intelligence reports. Mr. President, I have updates from around the world. The enhanced individuals are starting to communicate with each other. What do you mean? When their abilities activate fully, they seem to be able to sense each other across vast distances. Katie Morgan in Denver just told Agent Bennett that she can feel the presence of other enhanced individuals around the globe. Dr. Foster, who had been studying the alien technology, spoke up from her chair near the window. Mr. President, I believe these children are more powerful than even the aliens realize. My calculations suggest that if they work together, they could potentially disable the alien ships. Could potentially, the Secretary of Defense repeated. That's not very reassuring when we're talking about the survival of our species. Meanwhile, Katie sat in her bedroom, trying to understand what was happening to her. Agent Bennett had given her a special communication device that connected her to other enhanced teenagers around the world. When she touched it, she could suddenly hear voices in her mind. Hello, said a voice with a Japanese accent. My name is Akira. I'm in Tokyo. I'm Emma from London, said another voice. I can feel all of you. It's like we're connected somehow. Carlos, here, from Brazil. Are you all as scared as I am? Katie found herself speaking without using the device. Somehow, her thoughts were reaching the others directly. I'm Katie from Denver. I just found out about all this today. Agent Bennett says, aliens want to take us away. They visited my government too, Akira said. They call themselves the Zephyrian Collective. They say species like us always destroy themselves. Emma's voice was angry. They're wrong. We're not dangerous. We're just different. Carlos agreed. I've been having nightmares about the power outages I cause. But talking to you all now, I feel like I can control it better. Katie realized Carlos was right. Just by communicating with the others, she felt more in control of her abilities. The chaotic energy that usually surrounded her when she was upset had become focused and calm. What if we don't let them take us? Katie asked. What if we fight? Back around the world, enhanced teenagers were having the same conversation. They were discovering that their abilities became stronger and more controlled when they worked together. They could share their electromagnetic sense across continents. They could coordinate their powers to affect technology on a global scale. President Clark made his decision at sunset. He appeared on television and radio stations worldwide to address both humanity and the aliens listening. To the Zephyrian Collective, he said, looking directly into the camera, humanity rejects your demand. We will not surrender our children to you or anyone else. If you want them, you will have to take them by force, and we will fight you with everything we have. Above Earth, Commander Vex of the Zephyrian Fleet received the message with surprise. In 17 previous encounters with enhanced species, no civilization had ever refused to give up their enhanced individuals. They had all chosen the safety of their majority over the protection of their evolved minority. Vex gave the order to begin the invasion. 50 ships moved toward Earth's surface. their weapons charging for the first assault. But in bedrooms and houses around the world, 10,000 enhanced teenagers felt the alien ships approaching. Without being asked, without being trained, they began to work together in ways that the Zephyrians had never seen before. Their combined consciousness reached out across the planet, preparing to show the aliens that humanity protected its own, no matter the cost. Katie Morgan closed her eyes and felt the minds of 9,999 other teenagers around the world. She was no longer just a girl from Denver, worried about calculus tests. She was part of something bigger than she had ever imagined possible. The Zephyrian ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Commander Vex had expected panic and chaos from the humans below. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. The enhanced individuals were not hiding or running away. They were connecting to each other across the entire planet. "Commander," his science officer reported, "their electromagnetic signatures are linking together. We've never seen anything like this before." Agent Lucas Bennett stood in Katie's bedroom, watching her sit perfectly still on her bed. Her parents held each other in the corner, afraid to interrupt whatever was happening. Lucas could feel energy in the air around Katie, but it was different now. Instead of chaotic pulses when she was upset, this felt controlled and purposeful. "Katie," he said quietly, "can you hear me?" Katie opened her eyes and smiled. When she spoke, her voice carried the confidence of 10,000 people working together. "We can hear everything, Agent Bennett. We can feel the alien ships. We know exactly what they're planning to do." Around the world, similar scenes played out. In Tokyo, Akira sat at his computer, but he was no longer just accessing one machine. Through his connection to the global network of enhanced teenagers, he could reach every computer system on Earth simultaneously. In London, Emma no longer just sensed electricity through walls. She could feel the electrical systems of the approaching alien ships as clearly as if she were standing inside them. In Snow Paulo, Carlos discovered that his ability to create electromagnetic pulses was no longer limited to his nightmares. Working with the others, he could direct his energy precisely where it needed to go. Dr. Amanda Foster monitored the situation from her laboratory in Virginia. Her instruments showed readings that should have been impossible. The enhanced teenagers were somehow sharing their abilities across thousands of miles, creating a collective consciousness that operated on principles her science could not explain. "Director Carter," she called over the intercom, "they're not just communicating with each other. They're becoming something new, something we've never seen before." The first Zephyrian ship to enter Earth's lower atmosphere suddenly lost power. Commander Vex watched in shock as his vessel's quantum engines simply stopped working. Emergency systems failed one by one as something interfered with the fundamental forces that held his technology together. "Report," Vex demanded from his science officer. "Sir, they're not just disrupting our electromagnetic systems. They're somehow affecting the quantum fields that power our ships. It's as if they understand our technology better than we do." Katie felt the alien ship's confusion through the global network. She and the others had discovered that their abilities went far beyond manipulating electronics. When they worked together, they could sense and interact with the basic forces that held matter itself together. "Show them we don't want to fight," Katie said to the network. "But make sure they understand we won't be taken." Across the world, the enhanced teenagers reached out to the Zephyrian fleet with their combined consciousness. Instead of attacking the ships, they carefully disabled their weapons while leaving life support systems intact. They wanted the aliens to land safely, not to crash and die. One by one, 50 Zephyrian ships made emergency landings around the globe. Their crews were unharmed, but completely helpless. Every piece of advanced technology they carried had been gently shut down by forces they could not understand or resist. Commander Vex found himself standing in a field outside Denver, facing a 16-year-old girl in jeans and a sweater. Agent Bennett stood beside Katie, along with her parents and Dr. Foster. None of them looked threatening, but Vex could feel the enormous power that connected Katie to thousands of others around the planet. "You should have surrendered the enhanced ones," Vex said. "No species has ever successfully controlled such abilities without destroying themselves." Katie tilted her head and looked at the alien commander with curious eyes. Maybe the problem wasn't that they couldn't control their abilities. Maybe the problem was that they gave up on each other too easily. Dr. Foster stepped forward, carrying a tablet full of research. "Commander Vex, I've been studying the cosmic radiation that enhanced our children. It didn't come from a natural source, did it?" Vex looked surprised. "How did you know?" "Because the pattern is too precise. Someone sent this enhancement to us, deliberately. Another species that faced the same choice we just faced." Katie nodded as if she had known this all along. They chose to enhance their children and then hid the knowledge in cosmic radiation, hoping other species would find it someday. They wanted to give future civilizations a chance to prove that cooperation could work better than fear. "The ancients disappeared 50,000 years ago," Vex said quietly. "No one knows what happened to them." "They didn't disappear," Katie replied. "They evolved beyond the need for physical bodies. But they left us a gift. They left us the choice to become something better than what we were." Around the world, enhanced teenagers were having similar conversations with landed Zephyrian crews. They were not threatening or attacking the aliens. Instead, they were offering them something the Zephyrian collective had never experienced before: partnership. Agent Bennett watched Katie communicate with Commander Vex and felt proud of the choice his government had made. President Clark had been right to refuse the alien demands. Humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons or technology. It was the simple refusal to abandon its own people when they needed protection most. "What happens now?" Vex asked Katie. "Your species will spread across the galaxy with these abilities. How do we know you won't become a threat to others?" Katie smiled and gestured to the people around her. "Because we learned something your other 17 species didn't learn. We discovered that power isn't about what you can do to others. It's about what you choose to do for others." The enhanced teenagers released their hold on the Zephyrian ships. All the alien technology came back online instantly. Commander Vex and his crews were free to leave Earth whenever they wanted, but something unexpected happened. Instead of preparing to depart, many Zephyrian ships requested permission to stay. They wanted to learn from a species that had chosen cooperation over domination. Protection over safety. Katie returned to Jefferson High School the following Monday. She's still worried about her calculus test, though math seemed much easier now as she could sense the electromagnetic patterns in numbers. She still worked at Page Turner Books, helping elderly customers find the novels they wanted to read. But now Agent Bennett sat openly in the school parking lot. He was no longer a secret watcher. He had become Katie's liaison with the government, helping coordinate between Earth's enhanced individuals and the growing number of alien species that wanted to learn from humanity's example. Dr. Foster discovered that the cosmic radiation continued to affect new babies being born around the world. Katie's generation was just the beginning of humanity's transformation into something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that enhanced itself while keeping its compassion intact. Katie Morgan had started as just another teenager in Denver, but she had become proof that humanity's greatest power was not the ability to destroy, but the choice to protect and include others, even when it would have been easier to give them up. The stars no longer seemed so far away.